Hey guys, so this week we have something a little different. We had to cancel our pour on our other job due to safety concerns. We had framed everything and they dug for a foundation right next to our form and we didn't want anyone falling in. So this week what we have is, it's going to be a video of two jobs that we sealed. One we did near the beginning of the year, one I did just now, as you can tell. We used Dayton Superior J25. We did one coat at 6:30 in the morning, and then we waited about 2.5 hours to let it dry completely, and then we did the second coat. But there it is after the second coat. We roll it on. Looks really, really nice. So every good stamped concrete job starts with one important thing: doing absolutely nothing. Waiting a couple weeks for the concrete to cure. In my opinion, 5 weeks is good enough. You let all the moisture leave it. You don't want moisture migrating through your concrete when you apply your sealers. I see people get impatient and the sealer doesn't bond properly. So it starts off with waiting and then pressure washing. Here we have patio, so I don't need no degreasers or anything. There wasn't any cars on them. We had to wash them off. And then what we do, we don't use the powder release. We use an Ez-Tique system. We use this 1 gallon bucket, which is measured, and then we use a scoop of the Ez-Tique. We don't like to overdo it. We come in with a brush, we agitate it, we put it on the surface when it's wet. And the way this works, the little particles inside that water are kind of suspended by the water, and you brush them into the surface. And then they end up finding all the little nooks and crannies and low spots and sinking into there. I usually come back in, you know, I find the real puddly spots and then I make sure it's not overdone. Some people use a sponge. I use the brush itself and I kind of pull it back, make sure it's not overdone. But you go in, you pick your color, you wash it in. This one was a Pueblo. The other one was a, I think, Mojave Trail, which came out, they both came out real nice. But you can see me here, I get that layer and then I kind of pull it back, making sure that it isn't too much. You don't want to overdo it, because the more you use of this, sometimes the sealer will have trouble bonding. You don't want to go past the scoop. I've seen people do 2 scoops in a gallon, but usually 1 is more than plenty, because this is just an antiquing agent. You don't want to overdo it and cover up the base color, which will end up looking kind of tacky. And then after this is done, I wait 24 hours to come back the next day to seal, going back to making sure that it's dry. You do not want moisture on this concrete when you do your sealing. And then before every application of sealing, we measure the temperature of the surface. Here, I knew we were good, but I still check. The other one was earlier in the year, so there has to be a minimum temperature, usually above 38 degrees. Maximum temperature, hopefully lower than 80. Not in direct sunlight, and if it is in direct sunlight, you want to make sure that it's early in the morning and the sun isn't too strong. But what I use to apply our sealer is Dayton Superior J25. Great product. It is not diluted. You do not put lacquer thinner, nothing in it. Give it a good little mix. You use a no nap roller, I guess that's what it's called. It's just something that doesn't have little fuzzies in it, and it's safe with solvents because this sealer is a solvent. And one funny thing I always see people do, the way they pour into the tray, they have the spout at the bottom and then they have this mess they start making when they're pouring it in. But that's for another day. And then I came in on this job with a little brush, made sure the sealer went right up to the edge gently. You got to remember, this sealer is pretty much permanent, so it's good to be kind of gentle, making sure you get your edges clean, right. And then afterwards, you can come in with your brush and just do your broad strokes, I guess, as you want to call it. When you're rolling it on, though, you really need to make sure that you're getting pretty even coverage. Some people use a spray, some people use a roller, but you need to be very aware that you're not underdoing it or overdoing it, because the absorption rate of the concrete varies even though it's all one pour. So you got to make sure that you're not putting too much on one side or not enough on another. I always have to be watching to make sure I didn't go over an area already. Yes, you can see where the sealer touches, but it's just good to pay attention. See how it kind of builds up where the brush is? I kind of pull that back, making sure the coverage is pretty even. And then usually your first coat is just a starter coat. It's not going to look very clean. It's going to look kind of dry and wet in some places. You can see here, same idea, both jobs. You start off with your first coat, you get it going. Always know that first coat is never going to be very perfect. It's going to have its flaws. And even the manufacturer recommends that you do 2 coats. 2 little coats, thin coats. Don't ever do too much sealer, especially in a hot day, because you'll get what's called solvent bubbles. They're really aesthetically unappealing. Even when you do it right, you get a few here and there. But if you do it wrong and you over apply, you'll make it look absolutely terrible. So we have to be very careful that I don't overdo it. Watch our dry times. I've seen really good stamp jobs get completely ruined by a poor sealer application. I mean, someone did everything great, the pour went well, they framed everything good, their grades were right, the stamping came out clean, and then they did the sealing wrong, which was right at the goal line basically. So to recap, you let your concrete cure for a month, 5 weeks in my opinion. You wash it off, you use your Ez-Tique, make sure you don't overdo it. Use a sponge to get any excess spots. You let that dry another 24 hours and then you come back with your sealer. Mine is Dayton Superior, so get with your manufacturer. Make sure they have a tech data sheet that you can read to know the application process. I go off of what Dayton Superior says with this product. Every product's different. Different states have different rules with the type of sealers they have. So some dry quicker, some dry slower. But what you see here is how I apply this specific sealer. Don't use this as a rule of thumb for other products. Make sure you always get with your manufacturer. But you can see here, as I was going back, my wife, she was doing all the joints. And then I would come in with the brush at an angle, the little bristle brush, and get around those stones. I didn't want to touch the stones and have them covered with sealer. You need to be very careful. But she did all her perimeters, joints, and I was just coming in doing that first coat. You can see where I started. There's spots that are already absorbing really fast and drying up. That's that first coat. I've seen some people leave the first coat like that. I mean, it's okay, but if you want a little bit more of that gloss finish, it's usually good, at least with this product, to wait 2 hours. That's what the manufacturer recommends. We'll do about 2.5. And then after this is placed, I always tell people, make sure you have at least 4 hours after the sealer is applied. In case it's going to rain, you want to make sure it's very dry. It's usually dry to the touch after about an hour. After 2 hours, it's completely dry. After 4, it's pretty sealed up. And look at here in the video, it's kind of real and even. The parts over there at the end haven't even dried. Over at the beginning, it's kind of dry looking. And then when we came back 2.5 hours later, the sun was out, but it was still early in the morning, so it wasn't too hot. I checked the temperature, we were good. So I come in, do another light coat, don't overdo it. It's harder to keep track of what you're doing, especially since it's already been sealed once. But same process as before, just be consistent on top of it. Don't get lazy between, I guess, rolls. You don't want to take a 20-minute break halfway through and then it doesn't dry evenly. So the moment you start, make sure you don't stop. Here's this other job, second coat. Once I started, I make sure I didn't stop. Both jobs came out great. I'm glad you guys see how we do it with this product. But here I am wrapping it up. It came out really nice. The other one came out really nice. I wish I could have shown you guys this week's job. Like I said, it was a safety concern. But all in all, it came out really, really nice. Well, there it is, guys. Leave us a like, subscribe. You can see how it came out. There's still a couple little wetter spots here. This was just freshly done right when I was walking out. Came out gorgeous. Happy with the colors, and stick around for next week. And one of these weeks we'll be having 2 videos with that job that got canceled. Thanks guys. Have a great day.